Hello, and welcome to the Movie Mouth Film and TV Podcast. On this week's show, we have 3 new releases for review, with Disney Plus's new live-action Mulan remake, Season 2 of Amazon Prime's Superheroes Gone Bad show, The Boys, and Charlie Kaufman's second adaptation since, adaptation, Netflix's I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Alongside these, we'll be discussing the latest film news, listener questions, trailer breakdowns, and listen out for our brand new intro music for our classic film section at Video Store Corner, where we'll be discussing the John Hughes opus that is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. This is your co-host Miles, and as ever, I am joined by a man. Some say his name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix legions, loyal servant to the true emperor Marcus Aurelius, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and he will have his vengeance in this life or the next. Are you not entertained? It's Phil.
Hello. Right? Hello.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello there.
Hello there.
All right?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's good. What have you been watching this week?
This week, I have watched. So I finished after listening to you review season 2 a few weeks ago. I started The Umbrella Academy on Netflix because I'd not watched any of it yet.
And do you agree with my review?
I do. Well, yeah. Well, I've not watched season 2 yet, and you reviewed season 2.
After listening to my review for season 2, you agree with my review, but still haven't watched it yet.
But I watched season 1.
Ah, okay.
So I finished season 1, and I really enjoyed it so far. So that's been good.
Who's your favorite character out of the fabulous kids, or should they grown-ups now?
It's number 5, I think.
He's amazing.
The man-child.
Yeah.
He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant in it, isn't he?
So good. So good.
Yeah, so I'll be starting season 2 ASAP.
I loved season 2. I actually really enjoyed it. I don't know. It's a definite break from season 1. So if you love that kind of more dark kind of, like Addams Family chic type approach, the stylistic nature of the show generally is a bit of a departure there. It goes a little bit more Edward Scissorhands in its kind of Avon lady chic setting, but also quite political, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, I'm looking forward to giving it a go. What else did I watch? I watched a classic, Beverly Hills Cop 2, which I love. Love that film.
Brilliant.
And then this one I watched because it was just on, and I just watched it. But Mean Machine,
starring Vinnie Jones,
and Jason Statham and Danny Dyer.
Danny Dyer.
It's an awful film, but I quite enjoy it.
It's a remake of The Longest Yard, isn't it?
It is.
The Burt Reynolds.
Good old English football rather than
good
American
old soccer
hand
ball.
egg.
Yeah, American hand egg.
Yeah.
Screw you, hand egg.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible, but it's entertaining.
Are there any famous footballers in that? Like making
Vinnie
up the
Jones?
cast? Other than Vinnie Jones?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
The best thing about it is Jason Statham playing like this multiple...
Isn't he the goalkeeper?
He's the crazy goalkeeper. Like
That's
everyone's
right.
terrified of him, and he just decides to just run out and just...
He's a little bit short for a goalkeeper, isn't he? Jason Statham.
Yeah, but it's just, oh my god, he's just a nutcase. That is the best part about it.
Is it actually
it's
the original Chev Chelios backstory? He was actually in prison. He was a prison goalkeeper before his heart nearly exploded in Crank.
Yeah, the backstory. I wish it was. I wish they linked like that. That'd be amazing.
Very cool. Sounds like a busy week.
It was, yeah. And then plus the review, our review viewing.
Yeah, I don't quite know how, but over the last 2 weeks, I've managed to watch a lot of stuff. I finished the All or Nothing Tottenham Hotspur documentary. The last 3 episodes came out last Monday. Extremely depressing. It starts off saying, we're in the Champions League final. We have a great manager. We want to get into the Champions League places again this season, maybe do better, win a trophy. Of course, we did none of those things, and we lost the manager. So quite depressing. This season is no better so far, so not looking good. So to escape that, I continued watching Brave New World, the series that I started on the streaming platform Peacock in the States. And also HBO's Lovecraft Country, which I'm still not sure why I'm watching it.
Oh, you carried on?
Yeah, and it is quite interesting. There is this kind of Indiana Jones style episode that happens. There's a really interesting episode 5, which is really gory. I don't know why. I kind of can't take my eyes off it. I can't look away from it for some reason.
Right.
But in general, it's not too bad. The really interesting one I watched is one I've been dodging. It's been on my list since 2017, and that was Netflix's Western miniseries Godless. Did you ever see this?
No, I didn't see that.
So it's a Western starring Jack O'Connell, Scoot McNairy, Michelle Dockery, and Jeff Daniels, and it's written and directed by Scott Frank, who was the writer of Logan and Get Shorty. So some really cool kind of deep stuff that he'd written in the past. Yeah. Brilliant story about a period Western town which is left with only female inhabitants after a mining accident claims the lives of all, I think it's 87 men that live in the town. So all the husbands and fathers and sons in this town, they're all dead.
Right.
And this kind of catches up a few years after a stranger arrives in town, hunted by a gang of rebellious outlaws, led by the sinister Peter Griffin, played by Jeff Daniels, which puts the town and its hardy group of women on a collision course. Really good, like 7 episodes. Loved it. The score was brilliant. There were some obvious beats in there, some kind of typical cliche Western beats. But in the most part, it's a really, really good series and really worth watching. It's not a long commitment. It's just 7 episodes. But really enjoyed that. And then finally on one night, a few days ago, I had a wonderful drunken evening with a bottle of Jack Daniels and Rocky Horror Picture Show on my projector. Which is a classic musical movie that you should be legally obligated to be drunk while watching.
Yeah,
just love that. Tim Curry in that is amazing.
Sweet
transvestite from transsexual Transylvania. More of that, please. More of that. So, moving on from that impression, let's jump into this week's listener question. This comes from Seamus in Hill Valley. Guarantee that this isn't someone's real name or location. But Seamus in Hill Valley has asked, "Hi, Miles and Phil. A few weeks back, you had an interview where the guest mentioned the wonderfully named Memphis Reigns, a.k.a. Nicolas Cage's character name in Gone in 60 Seconds. Did you answer any questions on your favorite character names yet? If not, love to hear your answers." Well, Seamus, love this question. Phil, do you want to take it away with your list?
Oh, I've got some doozies.
Why don't you do one, then I'll do one.
Okay. So I've only gone for ones that I think are just a bit stupid, but also a bit cool. Okay. So John Matrix. Arnie in Commando.
I lied.
Oh, stick around. Yeah. So, I think who's called Matrix? Mr. Matrix.
Where does it come from? That's what I want to know. Like, there's no continent on this planet where Matrix is an actual name.
I've never seen a name.
I don't know. The only thing I can think, maybe it's like it has some kind of French. It might be he may be Jean Matry. Jean Matry.
Jean Matry.
Jean Matry, je suis commando. Great name. I think that's probably Arnold Schwarzenegger's best character name. Would you say?
Now I've just got all sorts of like French Arnie quotes going through my head. It's like, "Come avec moi if you want to live.
Bonne journée, baby."
Wow, that's a whole other section, that, isn't it?
That really is. on next week's listener question. No, I'm joking. No,
So,
great
go on then.
character name.
Your turn then.
This is a pretty obvious one, but the more I've thought about it, the more I kind of thought about character names. I'd never really thought about this name, but the more I've thought about it as a really great and hilarious name, the more I wanted to include it in this list. Mr. T, Rocky 3, Clubber Lang. Clubber Lang. He's a boxer.
I like that.
He's a boxer, and he's gonna club you. Do you know what I mean? I want to have. I want my character names to be literal. Like I want. Do you know what I mean? I want it to relate to what they actually do, and I've got a couple more of these later on. But Clubber Lang.
Yeah, that's a good one.
He was destined to be a boxer with that name.
Yeah, I mean, is Clubber not just his boxing name though?
No, it's Clubber Lang. That's his name.
Is it?
Yeah, Clubber the Club Lang.
Well, I hope so. Anyway, okay, all right. My next one. I'm going to give you this, and I want to see if you can guess who it is and what film it's from. Casey Ryback.
Oh my god. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue, and I feel like someone was under siege when they came up with this name.
Hey, Steven Seagal in Under Siege. Casey Ryback.
Oh, what a name! What a name!
Great.
A karate kicking chef that will literally beat the shit out of every single terrorist that takes over the ship, including Tommy Lee Jones,
without breaking a sweat.
Tommy Lee Jones is amazing in that. What's Tommy Lee Jones' name in that?
I can't remember.
Find it and come back to me while I give you my character name.
All right, I'll do it.
Josh Charles played this character in Dead Poets Society. I always wondered where the hell this name came from, and I still don't know.
Right.
Knox Overstreet.
Is that like Knox, Knox?
Exactly, KN. Wow. Not like knocks on the door.
not his knocks over the street.
I've just been knoxing over street. Knocks over street.
Yeah. Why? Who? A lot of these, you just think, what were they on when they come up with the character name? Right?
I don't know. They just saw two words and they put them together.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to. Oh, okay. I've got Tommy Lee Jones's name in Under Siege. It's not that. It's
it like Rasputin Hayes or something?
No, it's William Stranix, which is also quite good.
Bill Stranix.
Not as good as Gary Busey, who's Commander Krill.
Like Krill, like krill that lives in the sea.
Krill.
That's so literal. Like krill, what whales eat.
Commander Krill.
So he's a commander of a ship in the Navy, right? So guess what we're going to call him? Think about it. Commander Shrimp,
Seaweed,
Commander Pistol Shrimp,
Commander Barnacle,
Commander Barnacle.
That sounds like a SpongeBob SquarePants character.
Commander Krabs.
Come here, Commander Barnacle.
Commander Barnacle, to the helm, please, sir.
Paging Commander Barnacle.
Yeah, Commander Krill. That's brilliant. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Top points.
Wish it was Commander Barnacle now. That would be
top points for the ocean vibe. Your turn.
Okay, so next on my list is Snake Plissken.
Oh,
but that's just a cool one. I think that's just cool. Like it's nuts, but it's really cool.
It's brilliant.
So Kurt Russell from Escape from New York. Just a cool name.
I think maybe that name put a lot of the 80s action movie names on the map, like kind of made a lot of writers up their game, you know. It's a kind of natural move from Snake Plissken to John Matrix, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Snake. Sounded like a snake.
Brilliant.
Mine is, I'm going comedy. Bill Murray, Kingpin, Big Ern McCracken.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a good one. And
mainly because Big Ern McCracken, you feel like he's given himself the name Big Ern McCracken. Do you know what I mean?
It's the kind of thing he'd add in front of it. Just
exactly.
to make it sound like more Bill Murray.
he's so vain in this, and he even refers to himself in the third person as Big Ern McCracken.
Like
So-
you think Peter Venkman's vain, but then
Wait till you see Big Ern McCracken with
I know.
with his translucent bowling ball with a rose inside of
and
it.
his awesome comb over.
The best. When I go bald eventually, and I say that with 3 older brothers who are all bald, I'm definitely going to have the Big Ern McCracken comb over, and I'm
Oh,
going
I
to let
hope
it
you
just,
do.
mate, I'm going to let it fly off the side of my head just whenever I want, and then just paste it down with sweat.
Brilliant. I look forward to seeing it. Next on my list, again, this is a crazy name, but it's classic. Axel Foley.
Ah, you've gone for great names. You've gone for established great names.
I've gone for ones
names.
where I'd want that name.
I
Not
feel
all
like
of them.
if you ever have
the list
kids-
gets worse.
If you ever have kids, I know exactly the type of name that you're gonna give them. I feel like one of them might be a name from Money Plane,
Oh god, we're saving that.
but
for
we'll
the
get
end,
there.
aren't we?
We'll get there. Axel Foley, brilliant.
Axel Foley, Eddie Murphy, Beverly Hills Cop.
I'm staying comedy. I'm staying sports comedy.
Mm.
I'm going Happy Gilmore.
Mm.
It's Shooter McGavin.
Shooter McGavin.
another vain, self-involved asshole sports character in a comedy movie that also refers to himself in the third person. Obviously, Happy Gilmore has the amazing scene where he is in a rivalry with Adam Sandler, who is obviously self-titled Happy Gilmore, and they're fighting over something. I think it's something to do with Happy Gilmore's grandmother, and he says, "I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast, Gilmore." And Adam Sandler turns to him and says, "You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?" And Shooter McGavin just looks at him and goes, "No," and then runs off.
God, I've not seen that for so long. Happy Gilmore.
What a movie! That's without a doubt my favorite Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Shooter McGavin.
That's a good one. Staying on the action theme, John Spartan.
John Spartan. Oh, the 3 seashells.
The 3 seashells. So that's
What's with
Sylvester
the 3
Stallone.
seashells?
Sylvester Stallone in Demolition Man.
Hey,
John
yo.
Spartan, you have been fined 4 credits.
For swearing, isn't it? Isn't it for...
Yeah, every time they swear.
Oh, fuck it. That's brilliant. John Spartan.
I mean,
So you got 2 Johns on your list?
Yeah.
I haven't got a single John on my list.
Well, there's only 2, so...
But I tell you what I do have on my list.
Yes.
A Furious Styles.
What the hell is that from?
It's, of course, Lawrence Call Me Larry Fishburne in Boys in the Hood. Or Boys in Da Hood, as I should say.
Oh, really?
Furious Styles. And obviously, you know, he has that name. That's his actual name.
Yeah.
But he is also furious during this movie. But he's also a really good character, like a good father, strong father figure. And but I just always remember that name, Furious Styles. And it's Styles with a Y, like Styles.
Oh, yeah,
you know.
of course.
Brilliant.
Even better.
Furious Styles.
I like it. That's great. Who else have I got? Oh, this is an odd one because I forgot about this until I looked it up. Cole Trickle.
Oh, yes.
This is Tom Cruise in Days of Thunder.
Tony Scott's Days of Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, great film. I really like that. But Cole...
Is it great? Is it a great film?
Oh, it is. Well, yeah, I like it.
It's definitely.
Yes, it is.
It was definitely one of those movies that was the start of that kind of Michael Bay-like kind of chaos and sharp editing and soundtrack.
Oh,
you know
definitely.
what I mean?
Yeah. I used to have the game on the Amiga 500 as well.
Oh, mate, that game was a pain in the ass because you just used to drive round and round in a circle.
Well,
do you remember?
That's that kind of.
And your tires would run out, wouldn't they? Your tires would like wear out, and you'd have to like stop, and that was you'd run out of petrol.
Yeah,
that was a fucking annoying game.
Yeah, Cold Trickle.
Brilliant.
Cold Trickle.
See if you can guess this one. You've seen this film recently.
Go on.
Stacker Pentecost.
Stacker Pentecost. What?
Yeah, you've watched this recently.
Have I?
Yeah.
Have we reviewed it?
No. You watched it.
Stacker. But I have no idea.
We are cancelling the apocalypse.
oh.
Idris Elba in Pacific Rim.
Is that his name in that?
Stacker Pentecost. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do they ever call him by his name in that?
They do.
What's it like, Commander or whatever?
Stacker.
Commander Barnacle, get to the robot.
Commander Krill, look out for the whale.
Stacker. I mean, that's a good name. Is that? Yeah. Wow.
That was a piece of genius writing from Guillermo del Toro. People forget made Pacific Rim.
Yeah, he did.
The robot versus monster blockbuster.
I love that film. All right, I'm going to go. I do have one of the most ridiculous ones I think that could exist, apart from number one, which I know we both know.
Oh, I see you, and I might raise you, but go for it.
No, you're not going to raise this. So there is a film called Jungle Fever, which stars Wesley Snipes, which I can't say I've seen, but his character name in that film is Flipper Purify. Flipper, as in the dolphin, Purify.
It sounds like a command to Flipper, like, hey, Flipper, purify. like when he swims up when he goes from salt water into spring water river, he has to
like it's a dolphin that's got like a purification machine in its blowhole.
Blows it out of his blowhole.
Yeah, and it's purified.
Flipper purify. I'd just love to see Wesley Snipes in this. And what I hope he's doing in the middle of the jungle is communicating with river dolphins. And that's why it's called Flipper Purify. It also sounds like a Brita water filter, or
it does. It sounds like a new filtration system.
Flipper Purify. I see your Flipper Purify, and I raise you a Satanico Pandemonium.
Wow.
Do you remember this character name? Do you remember the movie?
No. Satanico Pandemonium.
Yep, Satanico Pandemonium. This is the amazing, the beautiful Salma Hayek in From Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, Dusk Till Dawn, yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
She comes
Didn't know
out.
she was called that.
When she comes out in that exact moment in the middle of the film where it goes from Tarantino-esque crime caper to balls to the wall, vampire slaughter. Just an incredible character name. Satanico Pandemonium.
Wow.
Which, by the way, will be the name of my first child.
Satanico. I like it. Okay, well, the next one I've got is much less interesting than that. But
go on.
Cameron Poe.
Oh! Con Air.
You know where that's from.
Con Air.
Con Air.
Put the bunny back in the box.
Cameron Poe with his lovely mullet.
You know who that sounds like, though, don't you?
Who?
Well, you've got Cameron Poe. This was really weird when Star Wars announced the latest trilogy. So bizarre, but they obviously announced a character name that has basically the same name but reversed with different starting initials. So you have Cameron Poe in Con Air. In Star Wars, you have Poe Dameron. Cameron Poe, Poe Dameron.
Cameron Poe, Poe Dameron.
Kind of sounds like his his kind of weird alter ego, or maybe his weird brother.
His like long lost brother that didn't do as well in life.
My name's Cameron Poe,
and I'm Poe Dameron. Poe Dameron.
Poe Dameron.
Poe. Please, let's just please leave us.
Oh dear, so weird that. I wonder how. I wonder if someone just saw that movie and just completely forgot, and channeled it out, and then thought, "I've got a great name, Poe Dameron." How did you come up with that? I don't know. I was just watching Con Air last night and fell asleep
Star
and had a
Wars
dream
is
about
just
it.
a treasure trove of character names in it, but
It is. It's actually
let's not get
amazing
into
that
that.
we haven't got any in this entire list.
No, I nearly put Grand Moff Tarkin in just as a because I quite like.
I need to put Sice Noodles in.
What about Salacious Crumb?
It was my next list. Yeah. I have got another one for you. Classic.
Oh, have you?
Classic from the 60s. Pussy Galore.
Yeah, I thought it was probably going to be that.
From a movie, someone's name Pussy Galore from a movie called Goldfinger. Obviously, Honor Blackman, amazing character entrance. She walks up to Bond. My name's Pussy Galore. To which Bond retorts, I must be dreaming.
Of course he does.
But can I just say, I just want to reference alongside that. This is like a double bill. Austin Powers then taking that and running with it in the first Austin Powers into the International Man of Mystery.
Oh yeah, I know.
My name's Alada Vagina. Alotta Vagina. Brilliant.
Brilliant. That's the end of my list.
I got a couple more. I don't want to be greedy here. But one name that I cannot get out of my head, and I don't know why. It might be because I'm turning into the museum curator, Dr. Janos Pohar, but that name is Vigo the Carpathian. Which is just a brilliant name from Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
Scourge of Carpathia. And finally, a Sylvester Stallone name from my list. Sly Stallone in the 1996 tunnel terror movie Daylight. Do you remember what his name was?
I think I do, but I want you to tell me.
His name was Kit Latura. Like, have you ever met anyone with the name Latura? Kit Latura.
Never Latura. I actually do know someone who called himself Kit, but
I call them Self Kit.
Yeah,
there you go.
His natural name.
I mean, the cool thing about this is that they love his name so much in the script that he even has it emblazoned on his shirt through the entire movie. Just in case you forget, his name's Kit Latura. Okay, and he's trapped in a tunnel underground. Yeah. All right. Speaking of great names, I wanted to take this apt moment to shout out two of our real-world friends, Gavin and Jenny, who welcomed their third child last week, the wonderfully named Cassian Hancock. Welcome to the world, little dude. May the force be with you, and congrats, guys.
Congrats, definite.
We love you. So, moving on to news this week.
Whoa, wait a minute there, man.
Oh!
You've not mentioned the number one ultimate character name.
Is it Miles Patterson?
From the recent review we did, Money Plane, Kelsey Grammer. And we mentioned this. We talked about this.
Yeah. Oh.
So the best, I think, and I think you're in agreement.
Honestly, I think you're speaking of, our friends naming their child with awesome names. I guarantee you, when you have a child, you're going to name it this entire name, including the nickname.
I might do that.
Girl or boy?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So Kelsey Grammer's character name in the awful film that is Money Plane, which came out quite recently, is Darius Emmanuel Grouch III, aka The Rumble. And I know we've mentioned this before, but that has to top the list of ridiculous character names.
I think also because of how he introduces himself. He introduces himself to Adam Copeland, aka the wrestling world's Edge, the leading star of this movie, apparently.
Yes.
In that way. My name is Darius Emmanuel Grouch III, aka the Rumble.
It's the only time I've heard a character name in a film and it's made me laugh out loud.
I've never had you text me because of a new character name in a new movie.
No.
That's for sure. You text me at that exact moment.
I did. Yeah, I did actually. So yeah, that's number one. Definite.
So when you have kids, Darius Emmanuel Grouch III, aka the Rumble, please.
Be like, Darius Emmanuel Grouch III, aka the Rumble. You get back here right now.
Stop rumbling.
Stop rumbling.
Can I move on to the news?
You can. You're allowed now.
Let's do it. So, in this week's news section, I'll start off. Anthony Daniels, speaking of Star Wars. That's my circuits. He returns as C-3PO in Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, a new Star Wars virtual reality quest. This is debuting later this year on all great virtual reality places to watch that or be in that. It sees R2-D2 and C-3PO travel to the mysterious planet of Batuu on an epic adventure, and you play a droid repair person helping them along in their quest. Having played the Star Wars Vader Immortal series from ILM Lab on the Oculus Quest this year, I can vouch that is a AAA title. It's absolutely amazing. You're in a Star Wars movie or show. So I'm really looking forward to this. It should be a lot of fun.
I wonder if you get to hit C-3PO because he's so annoying.
Come back!
R2!
And also on the Disney side, speaking of Disney, Marvel's MCU-centered Black Widow movie starring Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh is sadly being pushed back again. And this is off the back of Tenet's low box office takings in the US. It appears to be moving to the February 2021 release slot of Marvel's other big MCU property, The Eternals, which is now going to be delayed as well. Which is frustrating because the Black Widow movie, in terms of its sequential order, actually fits right back before Infinity War and Endgame. So it's kind of strange that they're moving it in that way. I guess Disney have trialed a release with Mulan at Watch on Demand, which of course they had on Disney Plus and didn't release in theaters, which has obviously led to a lot of issues with the theater companies at Disney. But kind of sad to see this moving because I was looking forward to this one, and especially with a lot of the recent news that Florence Pugh is due to pick up the kind of Black Widow mantle, so to speak, following this movie. So yes, less of that, please.
Well, I've got some other Marvel news that was announced yesterday, I think. And that is that Tatiana Maslany, who you may have seen recently in HBO's Perry Mason reboot, and also she was in a BBC sci-fi series called Orphan Black. So she is being signed up to play She-Hulk in a new series on Disney Plus.
She's going to be awesome in that.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen her in Perry Mason, and I thought she was really good. So, but I think she could be great. So yes, it's a series, not a movie.
Yeah, and obviously that's following in the steps of Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision, which are both coming out on Disney Plus at some point. I think She-Hulk's an interesting one because she doesn't take on the kind of full CGI properties of the Hulk. She's not that kind of beast-like kind of transformation character. She's more of a kind of just a muscular version of a woman generally in most of the kind of graphic novels and the comics. So
slightly greener as well.
Slightly greener, yeah, that's true. But yeah, Tatiana Maslany, love her as well. She's great. Met her in New York once. I think I mentioned on the podcast, and she's good people.
And then the other little bit of news I got is that The Batman has resumed filming in the UK after Robert Pattinson was diagnosed with COVID-19.
Hey,
he's got over that, and they are back to filming, which is good news.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's up in Glasgow, isn't it, where they were filming when he...
I think so, yeah.
Just got sick.
Yeah.
Good. Congrats, Arpats. Very cool. So looking at trailers, there were two major trailers from my side. I had a couple to talk about, one of which we will talk about after yours. I don't know if you wanted to start on your trailers.
Yeah, so I just got one that I saw which looked pretty entertaining. So this is for Love and Monsters. Have you seen this?
No.
It's coming out on the 16th of October. Stars Dylan O'Brien, who was in the Teen Wolf TV series and the Maze Runner as well.
Yep.
It's got Jessica Henwick she was a character in Game of Thrones, and Michael Rooker from The Walking Dead
Love
and
Michael Rooker.
Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, he's great. So, and this looks like a pretty entertaining film. It's after a monster apocalypse forces humans into underground colonies, a young man decides against all logic to brave the surface and face the monsters standing between him and his lost love. So yeah, he's basically in the trailer. He just decides, "No, I've had enough of this. I'm going to go and try and find her," and has to go on like an 80-mile journey outside, in an apocalyptic world with all these massive monsters about that will kill you in all sorts of violent ways. But it looks like really good fun. Quite a good spin on the apocalyptic genre.
I am cancelling the monster apocalypse. I like Dylan O'Brien. I think he's got a real charisma to him. I think he's a good actor as well.
Yeah,
a lot of good stuff. Obviously, he got. Remember the last thing he was in that I vaguely remember him being in. I think he was in an American Assassin, but the last Maze Runner movie where he actually got run over on set.
Right.
Yeah, and had quite severe injuries, I understand. So,
blimey.
Yeah, glad that he's back in movies doing stuff. This sounds interesting.
It looks comedy. It's not completely serious, obviously,
right.
either as well. It looks like it's got a comedic spin.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's out 16th of October.
Very cool. Very cool. I picked up on the major one. I think for me, this is probably my most. I'm most excited about this. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. This trailer alone, and that's Dune. Directed by Denis Villeneuve, who is slowly becoming my favorite director. Certainly one of them already. After obviously the Blade Runner sequel, Prisoners, and so on. And I think he really is an auteur. I think of our time, he seems to be someone that kind of you can watch his movies and you can kind of pick up on the fact that it's his movie. He's directed it.
Yeah.
He has that real kind of vibrancy in the palette when it comes to cinematography, and he can work with, the likes of Roger Deakins and other cinematographers, and ultimately his stuff always has that similarity. Sicario is another incredible movie of his. The cast on this: Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, obviously stars Timothée Chalamet as Paul Atreides, Jason Momoa, Dave Bautista, Josh Brolin, Poe Dameron himself, Oscar Isaac, Javier Bardem, Stellan Skarsgård, Charlotte Rampling. I mean, it's just
a cast, isn't it?
It's an embarrassment of riches when it comes to this cast. So, looks great. Timothée Chalamet, for me, he's always a little bit, a little bit too nuanced in some of his performances. I think he's going to be a great actor. I think he's a Leo DiCaprio in the making.
Yeah.
I do think he's a great actor, and I think he's going to be good in this. But sometimes you're kind of aware that you're watching Timothée Chalamet. But I hope this is going to be live up to all the other movies that are out there. I did hear that they were going to split this into two, and I'm not sure if that's still the case or not. But I understand it might be a fairly lengthy sci-fi epic, and I also know that they were looking at creating a TV series around this as well.
All right.
Which may have changed. But I don't know. I was really excited by this. I think the trailer looked awesome, and of course, giant sandworms.
It did look great. The trailer, very good.
Yeah. And then I think probably the big one, the biggest surprise for me, that came out this week. I mean, can we talk about the Mandalorian season 2 trailer?
Yes, we can.
Wow.
Yeah.
Just starting with that guttural.
Yeah.
Just looks absolutely amazing to me. I liked season 1. It felt a little bit budget in some places. I didn't like some of the changes in kind of style and cinematography. There was a lot of kind of handheld camera elements and things like that I didn't love. That change.
It was like a lot of different directors, wasn't there, per episode? I think.
Exactly. But I did grow to like it, and I really loved the last episode in particular.
Yeah.
And some great characters. But it took me a little while. But I have to say, I was really surprised by my emotional reaction to this trailer, which was just, this looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. That's out on 30th of October, isn't it?
That's
I think
right. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
starting to come out on Disney Plus.
We see
Um,
there's a sand person in there on a bantha.
Yep. There's Gamorrean guards having a boxing match in the
Oh
ring,
yeah,
which
yeah,
looks really cool.
yeah.
It's just nice when they link together characters that you're familiar with from.
Are they boxing or are they hitting each other with axes and stuff?
I think it was more like hand fighting, I think,
Okay.
or like Gamorrean MMA.
That looks awesome.
Yeah, that looked really good. And
Good old
then,
Mando.
yeah, and it's just loads. It's loads of really cool stuff. Seeing the scout troopers on the speeder bikes again, which were obviously quite heavily featured in the first series, but I love that. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. This is the way.
This is the way. Also, the Empire alarm sound, which will never get old.
Yeah.
Stormtroopers, scout troopers on bikes, Mando in a jetpack, X-wings flying through the clouds, dude. It's been a long time since I got excited about Star Wars. A long time. It looks fucking awesome.
It does look really good.
Fun fact: in the comments section on YouTube on this trailer, some random account called Sci-Fi Facts commented something incredible. He or she says, random fact: France was still executing people by guillotine when the first Star Wars movie came out.
Jesus.
Which is absolutely true. That was just the comment. I was like, yes, love that. Love the thought of that. Not so much the guillotine, but the fact that was actually a thing.
All right. On a similar random facts thing, and it's only because this just popped into my head because you said random facts. Paul Rudd,
yes,
is the same age now as. Do you remember Cocoon? And you had the guy with the really bushy moustache. I can't remember his real name.
Yeah.
With the hat and the glasses. Mm-hmm. Paul Rudd and him are the same age.
Shut the front door.
So Paul Rudd is the same age as that guy was in Cocoon.
How old is Paul Rudd?
50.
That guy was 50 in Cocoon.
He looked about 70,
wasn't he living in an old people's home in Florida? Why was a 50-year-old living in an old people's home?
I don't know. Well, I think he was meant to be older, wasn't he?
But he died recently, I think.
He did, I think, yeah.
Last couple of weeks.
There's a random fact for you.
That is a random fact. I'm never going to look the same at Paul Rudd again. He should be in a retirement home in Florida.
He should be on a boat with Steve Guttenberg trying to save extraterrestrials.
Swimming around in a swimming pool with big eggs in it.
Yeah. The Mandalorian. There we go.
This is the way.
This is the way.
So let's move to the review section. This week, obviously, we have 3 reviews. I'll start things off with Season 2 of Amazon's The Boys. So I'm not going to spoil Season 1 if you haven't seen it yet, but I will mention minor plot details of Season 2. Feel free to skip ahead slightly if you don't want me to do that. But as I said, I won't spoil the general arc of any of these characters. This is exec produced by Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, and based on the R-rated as R-rated can be graphic novels of the same name by Garth Ennis. It follows a group of empathetic, starved, and vain superheroes supposedly working tirelessly as Earth's saviors, known as the Seven, who work for shadowy big pharma corporation Vought, and a group of rebellious humans trying to bring them down, led by Carl Urban's Dick Van Dyke voiced hardman Billy Butcher, aka The Boys. Whereas Season 1 was a whistle-stop, big-budget, high-violence and cartoonishly dark-humoured romp with set pieces aplenty, Season 2 heads for more developmental grounds, as a slow start helps to break in a new dawn for this show. This season fixing its sights on the horizon of character development and depth. Last season was sociopaths against sociopaths, and everyone was left with a rather cold and uncomfortable feeling in the stomach, especially this reviewer. We're starting to peel back the cape to see what really makes our heroes, quote-unquote, tick. A sometimes unpleasant but mostly welcome change of pace for a show that left me feeling a little dirty and uncomfortable last time. Don't get me wrong, I still feel uncomfortable with the dark humor on display here, following on from sub-Aquaman parody The Deep's sex addiction and sexual harassment scene in Season 1, culminating in an aquarium breakout scene of a dolphin he's been having porpoise coitus with.
Porpoise coitus.
Yes, poor boy's coitus. Poor boy. A great character name, by the way. One scene in particular in season 2 of The Boys, we're supposed to be rooting for the gang as they drive their speedboat on purpose into a beached whale for laughs. But for me, I didn't see much to laugh about. I know it's CGI and practical effects, but I just don't like to see animal cruelty played out for laughs, even if it's, special effects. Doesn't really work for me. Besides an unpleasant whale steak taste in the mouth, this season is actually pretty good, and the level of character development is setting this up for a longer run than season 1 first appeared, rightly focusing on the standouts from season 1. That's Jack Quaid, yes, the son of Dennis Quaid, as Huey, seen here with varying amounts of PTSD and psychological breakdowns, and Anthony Starr's Homelander, a Superman meets Captain America, make America great again, leader of the Seven, an all-around abominable. There's that word again. You can't go longer than 2 minutes without the word being dropped. Usually by Carl Urban, whose Mockney English accent has improved slightly from season 1, but not much. My favorite dialogue here being a moment when he turns to Huey in a moment of anxiety and exclaims, "Your sense is tingling, is it? Spider-Man, more like Spider." All in, this show has something to say, and I feel like it's going after the right-wing politics currently under such scrutiny in the US during the presidential reign of he who shall not be named. Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ, and overseas terrorism are all discussed and turned into spin for the Seven to be closely parodied with their PR and aligned so that these alleged heroes can use it as their own agenda, even if the liberal agenda is the farthest thought from the selfish and vain thought process. It doesn't quite reach the heights of last year's Watchmen on HBO, a show also about superheroes, but with so much more to say and with a level of writing genius I haven't seen on the small screen in a long, long time. If The Boys is aiming for this level of political satire and to challenge its viewers, it's got a lot more ground to cover, especially when it's been populated with a kind of dark comedy, which makes this a difficult watch for some. I was fairly down on season 1. With season 2's character development, I may just be along for the ride, albeit with my sense tingling. Recommended.
I'm going to have to get the Velociraptor out for that, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
The new Movie Mouth official C-word blocking device.
Blocking device. So Disney have released their long-awaited Mulan live-action remake following in the footsteps of Lion King, Lady and the Tramp, Cinderella, and Aladdin. Much controversy about this one. Phil, you sat down to watch it. Give us your thoughts.
I did. So, yeah, this is, as you said, the new live-action remake. It's directed by Nicky Caro, and it was originally slated to come out at the end of March, I think. But then Disney delayed it due to the pandemic, obviously, especially with a film that big. They had a premiere as well, but that was just before the shit hit the fan. So they delayed it until July and then to August, and then they just decided, you know what, we'll just put it on Disney Plus. So it's what they've done, but that's attracted a bit of criticism because you've got to pay $30 for that if you want to watch it, and that's on top of it doesn't matter if you already have a Disney Plus subscription or not. So I don't know. I think that's put a lot of people off or made quite a few people angry.
I think it's made the cinemas pretty angry because they're missing out on what they were guaranteeing as potential
that
revenue.
too, obviously, as well, because this is, it's a big release. When Disney released like a big blockbuster like this, it's and
that money has gone straight in Disney's pocket, basically.
Yeah. But so it's based on the ancient Chinese legend of Hua Mulan. And when the Emperor of China orders that one man per family must serve in the imperial army to defend the country against northern invaders, Hua Mulan, the eldest daughter of an honored warrior, steps in to take the place of her ailing father. And she has to disguise herself as a man, and then she's tested basically every step of the way, trying to sort of bring honor to her family. And so I'll start by saying that I haven't seen the original animation, the 1998 Disney classic. I've not seen it. So
I think that gives it a nice spin, though, because you're watching this afresh.
I think that so too. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, in the process of reviewing it, I've got some comparisons that I'll have to make against the original, just for the people that might wonder. But I probably won't do it with the same fondness that a lot of people will have for it, because I've heard a lot of frustration with this film, but mainly from people comparing it against the animation and things they would have liked to have seen. So I'm not really gonna go into that too much, I guess. So, although, as I said, it's a live action version of the 1998 animation, there's quite a few changes. So, for a start, it's not a musical. There's no on screen singing in it at all. Mulan's been given a sister, whereas in the animation she was an only child. Um, I guess one of the big ones is that she doesn't have a talking spirit dragon that goes around with her, who was originally voiced by Eddie Murphy in the cartoon or animation. And we don't have that at all. It's been sort of replaced, I guess, by a phoenix, which seems to just sort of, it's like a spirit animal, but it sort of just appears when she feels a bit lost and says, it doesn't say anything, but it sort of just flies in the direction she needs to go, and that's it. And I think a couple of the villains have changed as well compared to the original. So that's the changes that the main changes that I've seen. Performance wise, I think really strong performances all round. Ife Liu, who plays Mulan, she does a fantastic job. Apparently they auditioned a lot of people for this. It took a long time to decide, but I think they chose really well. She shows really strong personality in it, a lot of emotion, and across a quest that sort of, I'm sure, would have taken a lot of emotion and energy. I think other notable mentions go to the villains, who are Jason Scott Lee plays Bori Khan, and Gong Li plays a shape-shifting witch, which is a sort of new addition for the film. And yeah, I think again performances were strong all round. Jet Li's in it as well as the Emperor. It took me a minute to recognise him as well, because he looks quite different. But yeah, really, really strong cast all round, I think. There's a good mix of comic relief against the more serious aspects of the story, which I think you're going to need that in a Disney film, where it is a family film. There's some really good large scale battle scenes, really good choreography, quite a bit of slow motion in those, which I quite like. It doesn't seem overdone, makes them feel a bit more dramatic, and obviously slow motion always makes things look cooler, doesn't it, as well? And it's interesting though, because although it's not full gore at all, there's no blood in it or anything like that, but it's actually quite violent. There's a lot of arrows to the chest and swords to the gut and spears to the head, etc. So obviously that'll be what has given it its PG-13 rating. So yeah, I guess for more of a family film, yeah, it's quite violent. I guess it might put some people off. I think the strongest thing about it is that it just looks absolutely stunning. It's really colourful, vibrant, and really striking to look at. Some of the locations and sets, whether they're CGI or not, some of them aren't, some of them are. They all look really good, to be honest. There's not much sort of to be said against them. It just looks great. Speaking to the CG, I think for most parts it looks really good, but I think the only slight letdown it had was that early on, some of the character movements look really weird. There's like a scene where she's sort of right at the beginning, where she's jumping along a rooftop and sort of does these flips and stuff, and it just looks a bit odd and jerky. So that, that sort of stuck out to me straight away, which was a bit off-putting. But I think the main criticism I've heard for it is that there's not as much progression shown for Mulan as a character during her journey and what she goes through in the film. She basically starts the film with powers or chi that she's been told to hide from others. And she basically has like an unnatural ability to be able to jump and flip and fight really well, and use of weapons and everything from a really, really young age. I believe in the animated version, she has a much sort of tougher time of things. She's she has to make a lot more sacrifices, cutting off her hair, etc., when she joins the army, and she has to learn all of the sort of warcraft and how to be a good soldier. But as I said, in this, it just sort of seems like she could just kick your ass from the beginning, and she just doesn't have to hide her chi anymore when she wants to do that. So I think that's a little bit off-putting as well. In summary, though, I think it's entertaining. It's a really entertaining watch. It's a real treat for the eye. As I said, it looks great. And if you're comparing it against the original, then maybe you're going to be a little bit disappointed. But I think to see a blockbuster of this type coming out at the moment with the current situation, it's a welcome treat. Even if it does make the cinemas really angry. But yeah, so I recommend it. I enjoyed it, and it's available now on Disney+.
Cool. Nice one, Phil. It sounds like a good movie. I want to check that one out. I've been meaning to get around to it, so now I have a good reason to watch Mulan on Disney+. Thank you very much. So moving about as far away from Disney princesses as you can get, Charlie Kaufman, the writer behind Being John Malkovich, adaptation, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and Synecdoche, New York, returns, here writing and directing his adaptation of Ian Reid's book, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, on Netflix. This follows Jessie Buckley as young woman and Jesse Plemons as Jake as they drive to his parents' secluded farmhouse, played by the deranged Toni Collette and David Hewlett, for a first encounter during a snowstorm. The young woman questioning everything she knows about her boyfriend and their relationship. In short, she's thinking of ending things. Having read the book, I can tell you this is more of a reinvention or reinterpretation than first appeared, with some minor plot details that provide the keys to unlocking the plot to be fully understood. It's a head-scratcher. It's too tough to be palatable, pretentious, and viscerally jarring, I would say. And yet, I absolutely bloody loved it. I've literally thought about little else since I saw it. However, I know many, many people whose film opinions I respect that absolutely hated this with all of their souls. I just wanted to shout out quickly to Jessie Buckley's performance here. She's been great in many period dramas over the last few years, with Tom Hardy's Taboo, HBO's Chernobyl, and the amazing BBC drama War and Peace, which is a show I watched at a particularly vulnerable moment in time, and I highly recommend you watch it if you are so inclined. To give more of the plot away than I already have would be a shame, and many people who watch it following this review may think I am completely insane for enjoying this so much, to which I have to say, that's as maybe. But isn't it nice to be intellectually challenged by one of those weekly Netflix-produced movies instead of the average 2-star action romp or young adult-centered rom-com? Remember when we would rent a video straight off the shelf with only cover art and the back cover blurb? Remember when being challenged by ingenuity, tone, and clever writing was actually an achievement without the need for cynicism or negative gusto? Not everything should be a popping eye candy sit down with the missus to watch a lovely yarn over dinner. Sometimes you've got to push your boundaries to admire new forms and adopt new tastes. And for that, I salute Netflix and Kaufman for bringing me something different at a time where most want to tune out. I'm looking to tune in. For that reason, I'm Thinking of Anything gets a big recommendation from me. I shall await your hate mail and the calls for my head. I just hope they're well written. Coming up next, we've got a new jingle. So, Phil, do you want to tell us all about that absolutely rockin' retro jingle that we've got for Video Store Corner now?
Well, a friend of ours, a mutual friend, told us that we needed jingles. So I was like, right, challenge accepted. And I made that one. I bought a keyboard and everything
Just for that?
just for that.
Blimey. You probably could have paid someone 50 quid and they would have.
It's less fun though, isn't it?
Let us know what you think. If you like our new jingle for Video Store Corner, let us know. We can always get Phil to re-record it. I'm kidding. I love it. I love it. It's so retro. This week, we have the coming home for Thanksgiving road trip comedy Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, directed by the mighty John Hughes and starring Steve Martin and the late, great John Candy as they attempt to reach home in Chicago just in time for turkey and sweet potato pie. Phil, care to summarize the plot in a bit more detail?
Yeah, so Steve Martin plays a marketing executive called Neil Page, and he's trying to get home from New York to his family for Thanksgiving in Chicago, as you said, and through a comedy of errors whilst trying to get back, he bumps into Del Griffith, played by John Candy.
Who, let's face it, is an
basically
absolute
it's a story about them.
shitbag.
Yeah, but like the kindest-hearted shitbag ever.
Yes, he does steal his taxi. Though.
He means no harm to anyone. He's just really annoying. But he doesn't mean to be. I think he's also a little bit selfish, perhaps, but still, we'll get to that. But yeah, basically, so they go on like a 3-day adventure or misadventure of different modes of transport, hence the title, trying to get back to their family. And it's just a very unlikely but hilarious pairing. Just a road movie. And I'd say it's the king of the road movies, if I'm honest.
It is one of the best. It's one of the greatest of all time, isn't it?
Yeah, easily.
And I mean, how many times have you been, on a, had some kind of issue with getting home from somewhere, and you say it was all a bit planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I grew up with this film. I used to watch this when I was much younger. I think it's one of my dad's favorites as well. He loves this film. It's just one of those ones I've grown up with and always loved as a classic comedy. And much to my horror, when I was watching it again for this, I discovered my wife had not seen it, so that was remedied immediately, and she loved it as well.
It's crazy. It seems like a lot of people that I know and respect haven't seen this film, which is weird to me because, like you, I grew up on it, and especially in the early kind of 2000s, I remember buying it again on DVD and watching it just over and over and over again. Just a brilliant John Hughes movie, I would say.
Yeah,
and so well written. Apparently, he thrashed the script out in a matter of like 2 or 3 days for this.
Yeah, I read that. It's crazy.
Apparently, he went through something similar while trying to get home. His flight out of JFK was delayed, and he ended up flying down to, where did he end up flying? Where did they end up flying down to in the movie? Kansas City.
Kansas, yeah. Kansas is first, yeah.
Yeah. So, and apparently that kind of inspired this whole story. I don't think he actually met someone like kind of Del Griffin, but yeah, an interesting Del Griffith, sorry, an interesting character nonetheless. Who would you say is your favorite character here? Because I mean, obviously they're both having fun. Steve Martin and John Candy have both actually admitted that this is the favorite movie that they've ever made, starred in. But who would you say is the runaway leader of the two, or your favorite of the two?
I like them both, but I think as a likable character, Del Griffith is just great. He's so annoying, but as I said before, his heart is in the right place. He means no harm, but he's really, really annoying, but played absolutely expertly by the brilliant John Candy. Yeah, I'm going for Del Griffith. What about you?
I would also go for John Candy's Del Griffith. He is a shower curtain ring salesman who hasn't been home in years. Somehow he manages to have a boorish clumsiness and kind of ignorance twinned with depth and heart, and you never actually hate him, even though Neil is so vehemently aggravated by every movement or throat clearing that this physical performance kind of sets forth. Um, I think I think it's a trait that is deeply missed from many of the annoying kind of schlub on a road trip characters that we've seen over the years, over the last few decades. Like, pay attention. I would say Zach Galifianakis. It's that kind of character that in most cases just tend to be annoying. Whereas in this case with John Candy, you still like him. You don't hate him. And
Yeah,
you're not irritated necessarily by him, which is pretty clever. And that was, I think, the depth of John Candy and how he could do those roles, like Gus Polinski in and Home Alone, and Uncle Buck, of course, in another
yeah,
John Hughes role. Flawed yet lovable uncle type character,
yeah.
just brilliant. And obviously, also a shout out to Steve Martin, who is also brilliant in this film. I think he's one of his best performances,
I'd
bar
say
none.
so. It's probably my favourite Steve Martin film, I should think.
Yeah, because again, me too. I'd say because again, you actually empathise with Steve Martin, even though he's a bit of an uptight dick.
Yeah.
But I just think they're a brilliant blend together. Just works really, really well. What would you say is the best scene, your favourite scene of this?
I find it really hard to pin it down to one because there's a lot in there that are amazing. I think the early one that I love is when they realise that they've got to share. They check into the motel when their flight's cancelled, and they realise that they have to. They go into the room and they realise that they have to share the bed, and they're basically complete strangers at that point. They've literally only met like at the airport and been on a plane together. And it's the way the camera keeps cutting back to the made bed and making that like audible like shock noise. It's like it's the horror within them, and you can see him just sort of sideways glancing at it, thinking, "Oh God, how are we going to get around here?"
It's that music, and that like music is like as they look at the double bed.
It cuts to the bed. It's like bing.
Yeah. Bing. You're just waiting for that bow.
Yeah. But then obviously that's followed by the awesome scene where they like wake up and John Candy's kissing Steve Martin's ear, and Steve Martin's holding his hand. And
he kisses his ear and he's like, Del, why did you just kiss my ear?
Yeah.
He's like, why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand?
And he's like, between two pillows.
Those aren't pillows.
And then they jump out the bed, and then
how about those Bears? How about those? Yeah, they're going all the way this season. They're going all the way.
Season. It's like, trying to feel manly again. It was hilarious.
It's got to be for me. It's got to be the Steve Martin at his most aggravated when we see Neil finally taking the bus to his rental car outside of the airport in like the freezing kind of conditions, and he gets to the spot where the car's supposed to be, and it's not there. Like, out of all the cars, it's the only one that's missing.
Yeah.
You just see him like scream, and then he's running across a runway. You see him fall down snow-covered embankments. You see his hat get run over by like this kind of road sweeping machine. And then he gets all the way to the airport, like freezing. He's got his tie wrapped around his ears to keep his ears like earmuffs, basically, to find a kind of cheery, plump Midwestern apple pie woman at the car rental counter and just lets rip on her. And this actually moves into my next point, which is best line, but I'll start it off with this. So he walks up to the car rental agent who's cheerfully on the phone, like, to someone kind of having fun. And she kind of looks at him cheerfully and says, "Welcome to Marathon. May I help you?" And he's like, "Yes." And she's like, "How may I help you?" "You can start by wiping that fucking dumbass smile off your rosy fucking cheeks. And you can give me a fucking automobile, a fucking Datsun, a fucking Toyota, a fucking Mustang, a fucking Buick, 4 wheels and a seat. Do you have your rental agreement, sir?" "I threw it away." "Well then, you're fucked."
So
Like that
good,
for
isn't it?
me, that I've been through that experience so many times. So many times. That's my favorite line. That well then, you're fucked.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorite scenes and lines. But I think there's a few for me. There's there's when he gets to the cab when they're in St. Louis. So isn't it when when he comes out of the rental car thing and he says to like the cab dispatcher guy,
Yes, it is. Yeah.
and he's like, "I want to go to Chicago," and he's like, "You're in St. Louis," and Steve Martin's like, "Yes, I do." And he said, "Why don't you try the airlines? It's faster and you get a free meal." And he was like, "If I wanted a joke, I'd follow you into the John and watch you take a leak. Now, are you going to help me or are you going to stand there like a slab of meat with mittens?" And then he just smashes him in the face, doesn't he?
Yeah, I love the part when he picks him up by his testicles, to be honest.
Picks him up by the balls. And then the whole scene after where they're in the car, he's got a really high voice for the next couple of minutes.
Wow, you're talking to me like that. Yeah, brilliant. No, that's a great scene.
And then I think the other one I like is when they're in the car after it's had its fire, because their car catches fire.
Yeah.
And it's still drivable somehow, but the state trooper, like that, the police pull him over, and
Michael
he's played
McKean.
by, Michael McKean,
Yeah.
from Spinal Tap and Clue and lots of other things.
No, we're not playing fucking Stonehenge.
And he says, "What the hell are you driving here?" And then, in pure John Candy fashion, he says, "We had a small fire last night, but we caught it in the nick of time." They're literally sitting in like this burnt out husk of a car.
It's like a burnt skeletal husk of a car.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And he's like, "Do you have any idea how fast you were going?" And he's like, "Funny enough, I was just talking to my friend about that. Our speedometer has melted, and as a result, it's very hard to see with any degree of accuracy exactly how fast we were going."
That's brilliant. I like that scene as well because John Candy and Michael McKean are two of the great improvisers of the time.
Yeah.
So you know that they were probably having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
On that. I also love when like he kind of says, "Oh, the reason we're late is because I'm trying to get this guy home to his family for Thanksgiving." And Michael McKean just like bends down, looks into the car with like his kind of fly catching mouth like flapping wide in the breeze, just like trying to listen to what he's got to say. Is that true, sir? Just brilliant. And the next scene, you see the car just getting towed away. I love how when that fire starts as well, that's the first moment where Neil, Steve Martin's character, actually starts to accept the turmoil, the bad luck that he's on, and kind of turns around, looks at it, looks back. John Candy turns around, looks back, and then they both just kind of like stand up and are just kind of staring at it kind of blankly without any emotion. I love that.
They just laugh. Yeah, they just
also. Also, the moment where they go the wrong way on the freeway and they get sandwiched between the two trucks. Visual gag. You see both of them as skeletons screaming as the sparks are flying, and then for no apparent reason, John Candy is dressed in a skin tight lycra devil's outfit with a fork.
Into the devil, maniacally laughing.
Yeah,
and that is like my. If you say to me Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, immediately that's the scene that comes to my head. Like that's the thing I found the funniest when I was little.
Me too.
Because that whole bit, the build up to that's brilliant, where they're driving down the wrong way and you've got the other car trying to turn around.
How do they know where we're going?
Yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, how do they know where we're going?" It's brilliant.
Those are some great scenes. Favorite supporting character in this? Some surprising ones that when you watch this back, that you realize there's some pretty there's some typical John Hughes actors that he's had in a lot of his roles. For example, the Doobie, the taxiola driver, in the scene where they take the taxi in the middle of the night from Wichita to the first motel, is the cop from Home Alone, the one that drops the donut.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
to go to your house just to check on your son.
You've got the guy at the beginning who's like, when they're in the meeting with the executive, right at the start, first opening scene.
Yep.
He's the dad from Ferris Bueller. Right?
Yeah. And speaking of Ferris Bueller,
the announcer guy.
Flight 909 to Chicago is delayed due to heavy snow at O'Hare. Bueller. What about Kevin Bacon?
Kevin Bacon at the beginning as well. Yeah.
Little streaky Bacon as he runs down the road.
Little streaky Bacon.
He's going to basically steal the cab from Neil. They're both fighting for the cab, and he gets stuck behind someone's suitcase or something in the street. Brilliant.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they have a little runoff.
Love that scene.
To the cab.
Yeah.
But I think supporting character, and again, up on the list of favourite scenes, is when they're in Wichita. They're stuck in Wichita. And he says, I've got a guy, like John Candy's like, it's all right. This guy's coming to pick us up. And the guy turns out in this pickup truck, this beaten up pickup truck, and he climbs out and you don't see him, but then it sort of does the pan from the foot upwards, and he's in a lumberjack shirt. He's got he's weird looking guy chewing tobacco. So he's got a lump in his bottom lip, and he just spits a load of this chewing tobacco out of his mouth and clears his throat. But he's got this awesome weird tick where he has to clear his sinuses, and it's the best thing ever because he's got this lump in his, and he's like. But while he's doing it, his eyes really widen and his mouth opens, and he's got it's just horrible. It's so horrible, but it's amazing because he keeps doing it mid sentence.
That, of course, is the amazing Dylan Baker.
I love that guy.
That was in. He's in loads of stuff, but I remember him. I remember him most from the Todd Solondz movie Happiness with Philip Seymour Hoffman, which is a really fucked up movie if you ever see that. But he's in a lot of stuff. He's a very popular actor these days. That's pretty much the first time I can remember seeing him in something. But that's such a funny role. I know. Actually, I read some trivia on it that there's the scene when he shakes hands with Del Griffith, and then as he goes to shake hands with Steve Martin, he clears his throat again. And then kind of wipes some spit off of his hand and shakes Steve Martin's hand. Yeah. And apparently John Hughes wanted some really kind of natural reactions in this. So apparently he spoke with Dylan Baker and said to him, spit on your hand before you shake Steve Martin's hand, because Steve Martin is a germaphobe and apparently really freaked out by that kind of thing. And so when he shook Dylan Baker's hand, Steve Martin's reaction was actually real. Apparently he ran off to the closest toilets and to wash his hands, and the crew were just in absolute hysterics because he was genuinely pissed off and freaked out.
That's just evil.
Yeah.
I think you can see that in his face. He looks horrified. So
absolutely horrified. His face with
spit and then shake someone's hand. Oh, amazing.
So come on in, Phil. Give us some of your Phil's trivia.
I need a jingle for that, don't I?
Phil's trivia, Phil's trivia, Phil's trivia. Let's go.
I'll work on it. So, a couple of bits of trivia from our favourite section of IMDb. So, the exterior of their aircraft in flight is a reuse of the 707 flying through the storm from the movie Airplane.
I just want to say, good luck, you two.
Well, counting on you. We should definitely do that for a video store call.
Yes, we should. What's his name? The pilot in that? That's a good character name we could have used.
Oh, Oh, that is a good one. I'm going to need to find that out, aren't I?
You are going to need to find that out, or I'm going to find it out. In any
Yeah.
case, that's definitely one of those character names where you're just like, I love it, absolutely love it. I feel like it's Striker something, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, that is it, isn't it? I'm finding it out right now. I'm looking it out right now. Hold on. Through the wonders of technology.
It's live, coming to you live from the Movie Mouth podcast. It's Phil Googling character names from Airplane.
Ted Striker.
Ted Striker.
Ted Striker. Brilliant. That's a good name, though. Anyway, trivia. So that was a reuse of a shot. I thought that was quite interesting. The movie ends with a freeze frame of John Candy with a tight-lipped grin, and Uncle Buck, also John Hughes, ends in exactly the same way.
Who the hell are you? I'm your Uncle Buck. Brilliant.
This was a good one. So apparently John Hughes shot over 600,000 feet of film. So it's like 180,000 meters of film, almost twice the industry average. The rumored 3-hour version of the film does indeed exist, although not in order.
That's interesting.
So apparently it's in
because there are
Paramount
things in this that I noticed that I hadn't really picked up on before, but feel like they weren't explained. The big one, when Del Griffith turns up with the truck driver, that kind of comes out of nowhere. He turns up with a truck. You remember
the big truck,
the cheese truck, or whatever it is. So he turns up, but he has a black eye.
Yeah.
Why does he have a black eye?
I don't know, actually. Yeah, that's a point, because he does. He has like scratches on his eye or something.
Yeah.
That's okay to think about that. But yeah, apparently there's lots of versions of this. So if you watch it like a TV version, there's some extra scenes on the plane. And
that's interesting.
Like some other bits that were shown on TV versions, but not the cinematic version. So yeah, it's quite interesting. So that'd be amazing. See a 3-hour cut of that, I'd watch it. Another one. So after Del steals the cab from Neil, from Steve Martin's character at the beginning of the film, I didn't notice it, but after reading it, I'm sure it does. But Neil looks down and sees that the cab is gone, and in the puddle on the ground, there are 2 shower curtain rings.
No, I didn't notice that.
I didn't notice it, but yeah, that's quite a nice little touch. If
it's a nice touch.
The exterior of the rental car was designed to resemble that of Griswold's station wagon from John Hughes's previous production.
Oh yeah,
National Lampoon's
with the wood panels on the side.
Yeah, it's like the same in it basically. And then the last one I found interesting was that John Hughes originally wanted Tom Hanks for the role of Neil Page and John Travolta for the role of Del Griffith. Hanks was unavailable because he was shooting big at the time in 1988. And Paramount executives did not want Travolta in the movie because he was considered box office poison at the time.
Yeah, he was. That's right.
Bit harsh, but yeah. So there's my trivia.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I
will say though,
go on.
Sorry, I was going to say with this, I think with this film, don't you think John Candy, you feel? I mean, with giving people should have seen this by now because it came out in 1987. So I'm going to spoil it. But at the end, when you find out what's happened to him, don't you just feel incredibly sorry for him?
Yes.
Like he plays it so well.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. And even earlier in the film when they're in the hotel and Steve Martin they're having a bit of a shouting match and he has a go at him and he really goes at him. And even then you think, oh my God, you just feel so sorry.
His dramatic range in this is amazing. And it's a shame that obviously, we didn't have more time to commit to more serious works because like genuinely that scene at the end of Planes, Trains and Automobiles, I was just absolute goosebumps.
Oh yeah, the music comes on and he's still sitting in the train waiting room and it's horrible.
What are you still doing here, Del? And he's like, my wife died 8 years ago.
Yeah,
wow,
it's terrible.
Yeah,
He doesn't have a home.
No, he doesn't have a home. No, he just lives on the road, just selling shower curtains, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonder what he was doing in New York.
Who knows?
Selling shower curtains.
Shower curtain rings.
My wife's got all kinds of shower curtains, dangly ones.
Yeah. But so I definitely miss John Candy. I think he went far too soon. It's a real shame but I'm glad we're left with some absolute classic performances.
Definitely. Also, does a little Jamaica reference, considering
He
this is
does,
before Cool
which
Runnings.
I quite liked. Yeah.
He's like naming the miniature bottles of liquor by the country that they come from. And he's like, "Oh, I want to go to Russia. You want to go to Mexico, have tequila?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to Jamaica, man. Irie," like in the rum. Although he's drinking Bacardi, which I believe comes from Cuba. But just saying.
Easy mistake to make.
It's all in the Caribbean, isn't it? But no, great film. And I think this was, if you haven't seen Planes, Trains and Automobiles, which is weird, I'm finding a lot of people, I just assumed everyone had seen it, but I'm finding a lot of people that have never seen it. Then this is classic. It's cozy, holiday centric. It's also about Thanksgiving, which is officially my favorite holiday, having never had one when I moved to the US. It's all about eating, sports, and dessert. And honestly, it's just a great time. You just literally do nothing and just eat and have a good old time. So if you haven't seen this film, check it out. We loved it. Loved watching it again. And also, we're going to start opening up our video store corner to potentially to bring in some guests to start talking about their favorite films as well. So if you're a listener and you'd like to get in touch and request a film that we haven't yet discussed in our video store corner, then please do get in touch. And we would love to potentially speak with you about a classic movie. So, Phil, that's it. I'm afraid
it is.
We've reached the end of the road. Planes, Trains and Automobiles pun.
Good one.
On next week's podcast, we'll be bringing you another slice of movie and TV related podcast mania. But before then, please follow our Facebook and Instagram accounts at MovieMouth Podcast and hit subscribe or give us a nice 5-star review on your podcast player of choice. Phil.
Yes.
There is just one last thing to say.
Yes.
Pity the fool. Goodbye.
See you later.
Bye, Phil.
Clubber Lang.